This is Debbie, and welcome to another brand new episode of The Offbeat Life, where I speak to inspiring individuals who ditch the norm to live their best life and become location independent. This week, I speak with Christine Rogador, who is a remote writer who splits her time between South Africa and the Philippines. Christine grew up in a small town in the Philippines but knew she wanted to travel. While her friends were starting families, Christine was trying to find different ways to see the world. She didn't know what to do with her life and decided to leave school to work full-time, where she found a job which gave her a lot of success. However, the stress and Christine's need to see the world pushed her to make the decision to leave her job at the height of her career. Today, she continues to pursue her passions to travel and is a full-time freelance writer and blogger. Listen on to find out how to live a freedom lifestyle as a remote writer. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I am here with Christine. Hey Christine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How about you?
I am great. Thank you for joining us. So before we hear all about the amazing things you're going to tell us about your journey, can you fill in the gaps of your story and why you live an offbeat life?
Yeah, my name is Christine. I came from a very small and sleepy town in the Philippines. But currently though, I'm living between Manila and Cape Town. So I stayed 3 months at a time between two countries for the past 2 years. Well, the life in my hometown is very simple. It's a type of town with, 3 to 4 power outages a week. So the kind of simple. So anyway, I came from a typical Filipino family, finish your education, get a job or go abroad to work, buy a house or, get married and have kids. So anyway, growing up, I dream of traveling the world. Well, I was planning on how to achieve that. My high school classmates were busy planning for their own marriage. So nothing wrong with that, but I just want to clarify that for me, ever since life is, more than the path that, society dictates you to have. So fast forward, I wasn't able to finish my college education. So I was transferring to, one university to another. So I moved school like every semester. So that's like 2 to 3 times a year. And I also change course or programs, as you guys call it, often. So I simply didn't know what I wanted back then. I gave my parents a break in spending more money on me, so I decided to quit on school. And then I found a job in a call center company owned by a British guy in my sleepy hometown. And after a few months, he entrusted me the management of said call center. So I ran the entire operation for the company and the companies of his American partners for like 6 years. So basically, I was managing 3 companies at the same time during that period. So company grew from like 20 people to hundreds, and we started running really big campaigns from biggest home security accounts, universities in the U.S., and even an account for a major political party in the U.S. for the 2012 U.S. election. And because I was busy, with my career, my dream of traveling the world kind of like took a backseat. So I was working 6 days a week and sometimes 14 to 16 hours a day. And if that's still not too obvious, I got burned out from all the work. See, I was doing great with the company. People are saying I have, a good future, but then one day I resigned to the surprise of everyone.
Wow.
So they tried to, stop me, my former employer and also my clients. So they offered me with higher salary, less work because they think, I was just overworked. And then they also offered to remove annoying clients on my care, but I still decided to go. So my plan was, to take a break from work and just travel a bit. But fortunately, one of my former colleagues from our U.S. partner company contacted me and asked me to join his new company before, I could finish my 30 days notice. I told him about my plan, but he said that I don't have to report in an office, so, I can work remotely for them. And he also offered me like, bigger salary plus less hours of work. So I guess that's a no-brainer given that, I can earn money while traveling at the same time. So that job helped me to travel to like over 40 countries. And then when the company expanded the operations in Belize in 2016, they sent me there and also here in South Africa last year. Although I was reporting in an office though, I took the opportunity to travel for free around, Central and North America and also here in Africa. So, I mean, these are like inexpensive places to get to. And since they're paying for everything, I guess it's, no brainer as well. But I resigned from the job recently and currently doing freelancing, writing website content for companies and also travel blogging on the side as well. So yeah, that's my story. And yeah,
So, Christine, you left the first job because you couldn't
yeah,
travel, and then now you left the second job even though you could travel and create income
yeah.
from it. What made you decide to do this and take a leap to being on your own, being a freelancer, and going into this different path?
Well, first off, to be honest, I was getting tired like working for the same industry. So I wanted something new. And then at the same time, even though I wasn't working in an office and I could work remotely, the problem with that is I have to report in, fixed schedule. And to me, living in, for example, if I was in the Philippines, I was working for like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Mhm.
And then if I'm here in South Africa, I work until like 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So that kind of like, took a toll on my health as well. It's time for me like, to change something. And yeah, so I decided to resign as well.
So, now what made you decide to go back and forth from the Philippines now to South Africa?
It's a classic story. I fell in love with a local guy here, so I'm trying to like balance my life by making sure that I spend time with my boyfriend and also spend time with friends and family back home. So that's the reason why I have to travel every 3 months.
That's a good reason, though, Christine. And South Africa looks really beautiful. And also, the Philippines is beautiful. So, you have the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So, now that you left this other job, how are you able to sustain a nomadic lifestyle?
Okay, that's a good question. So first off, since I was earning really good from my old job, so I kind of like I managed to invest money. I have my mutual funds. I also managed to buy my own apartment in an upper middle class condo building in the Philippines. So what I'm doing right now is renting out my condo. So it's giving me something for that. And also, with regards to the writings, I pitch companies and also I have managed to get few contacts who give me like gigs from time to time. And also at the same time, my blog, before I resigned from my last job, my travel blog is already making, money. I mean, it's not as big as what I've been receiving before, but it's, enough to start with.
How are you able to create income from your blog? Because that's one of the things that a lot of people want to do. But the hardest thing is to actually monetize the blog. So, what have you done in order to get to that level?
Well, first off, since I've been working with my I mean I've worked with my SEO like from the beginning, then I basically my blog is getting organic traffic consistently, and I have really I would say great traffic for like a 1.5-year-old blog. I'm earning money from ads. First off, that's one. So it's like a passive income from ads.
Mhm.
And then second off, I'm also making money from sponsored. So like I pitch brands or sometimes they come to me and they ask me to do work for them. So it can be I would say sponsors articles especially, they can be quite lucrative. They pay well, especially if you know the right people. But then at the same time, they are, I would say, unstable. So you might get like 5 to 6 clients in 1 month, but then the next month you get zero. So yeah, and that's the second way of monetizing it. So I combine it with ads and also sponsored articles.
A lot of people want to do blogging and it's so hard to do, and obviously you have to do so much work for it, so it's always good to be able to learn how to monetize that before you leave your job, because it's a hard thing to get into, obviously, and it's great that you were able to do that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people actually they think that the earning from blog is like instant. You can start blog right now and start earning money. No, it doesn't work that way. It's actually you have to work on your blog first. You have to make sure that your blog is earning first before you resign from your full-time job. If you want to make this like a full blogging as your full-time job, you have to make sure that it's already earning money, because otherwise you're going to struggle if you cannot find clients for sponsorships right away. And normally people who pay for sponsorships, they want blogs, I mean older blogs basically, so it's who have already been established themselves.
Christine, you lived in the Philippines and you still go back there a few months out of the year. Now, there's a lot of people who are in a similar situation as you who also want to travel, but it's harder when you live in the Philippines or in other developing countries. Now, is there any advice that you would give someone who is in a similar situation, especially for visas, how you get it, and traveling when your passport is not as strong as, for example, like a UK passport, American passport? How were you able to do that?
It's a great question. So, to be honest, all I can advise, especially for those countries with visa interview, is to be, assertive. So the thing is, I'm gonna give you an example. I had an experience wherein I got denied visa once. That was in, I think, 2014 from German embassy. I think I've been to like over 20 countries by then, but then they still denied me. And I was like working for an American company, and then there was the time that I didn't have my condo yet as well. So basically, I didn't have property under my name. I was single, and then I mean I don't have kids. So basically, there's nothing that tied me up in the Philippines, and that's a big red flag to embassy. They denied me. So what I did is I wrote back to the embassy, and I just told them that, what, the only reasons that they are actually denying me are the main reasons why, I can afford to travel, basically. So, I mean, if I have kids, if I have family, it will be harder for me to travel. So that's the reason why. So I've been honest. I'm not gonna go there like, to work because I have a good job in the US. And it's like a common sense. I was like, earning good money. Why would I go to Europe and
Mm-hmm.
try to find another job? That's what they were trying to get at, why they denied me. So be assertive and be honest during visa interviews, and that helped me a lot. I had more succeeding visa interviews, and they went well because I tried to be like more assertive.
It's so hard. I've spoken to a lot of Filipinos because I'm Filipino myself. I mean, I grew
Oh,
up in the United States, but it's really hard for someone to travel and do it in a way where it's just so easy, right? Because if you're from the United States, you just show them your passport and you could just go in and leave when you want. But then you have other countries where it's so hard. So it's really interesting to see how fortunate we are to have this passport that we have, and how hard it is for you, Christine, to even just do this, things that we just take for granted. So it's amazing.
yeah, exactly. And also, just another tip as well for Filipinos, especially if they can start with countries that don't have visa. They don't have to apply for visa. I would recommend to travel first on those countries. So you build your reputation as an honest traveler before going to countries with visa application. So that way they won't give you trouble when you apply for visa.
What a great idea. And plus, you can, like, Christine, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of different people, especially when you left your job. What has been the worst advice that you have ever received?
I think one thing that comes to mind is when someone told me that you can't have the best of both worlds. This is basically, with traveling and working at the same time. Because I remember I had this conversation with a good friend. I think she's a well meaning friend. And so she told me, no, you can travel and work at the same time. You can have the best of both worlds or whatever. Like I said, I was contemplating of leaving my old job to travel. So my friend meant that I can travel and work at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So either, I work or travel. But since I'm not a trust fund baby, then I would, probably end up working again and travel during my leave. I remember telling her that, yeah, maybe I can't have the best of both worlds, but at least I can, choose the world to be in. So for me, it's about choices. So I chose to resign and then travel. And I got lucky that I found a job that allowed me to do it.
You took the initiative to actually go for it. I think a lot of people have those fears and anxieties of actually going forward with it. And if you didn't, you'd still be at a job that was giving you anxiety and stress. You're still going to be wondering what could have happened, and you wouldn't be going back and forth to South Africa with finding your boyfriend and all of these things happening. So many missed opportunities if you didn't. So, Christine, let's fast forward to 50 years from now and you're looking back at your life. What legacy would you like to leave and what do you want to be remembered for?
The ultimate question of life. Well, if I already have kids by then, I wish to raise individuals who are open minded and respect differences. So at least when I leave the earth, I made a good job of not leaving ashholes for children. Well, I'm just kidding. Seriously speaking, though, I want to be remembered as the woman who didn't have the privilege of, rich parents, didn't have the privilege of having a strong passport, like you said earlier, or not even education, but, who managed to achieve her dreams by simply believing that your dreams are there for a reason.
There's going to be so many people, even right now, Christine, who's looking at you in your hometown and people who are reading your blog who's saying, if Christine can do it, then there's nothing
Then,
stopping me. Because she didn't
yeah,
come from a rich family. She did all of this on her own and she made it this far. And who knows where you'll be going to next. So it's already an inspiration what you're doing.
thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Christine, let's get to some fun questions. Some people like myself, I nerd out on interviewing inspiring people like you, and I love hiking. What about you, Christine? What do you nerd out on?
Oh, movies and books. So, although I haven't, really read books in a long time, but yeah, I love reading. I used to read like 10 books in a month and movies as well. So, I'm an X-Men fan. And for books, I love Tom Clancy.
Having traveled to so many different places, what has been the most life changing encounter with a person that has ever happened to you?
Actually, there are too many, but to give you a few examples, the first one was in Macau. I got arrested by policemen for a reason that
What?
until now I don't know. Yes, I stayed in the police station for like 4 hours
Oh my
before they
gosh.
let us go. So yeah, it was crazy. So basically, I was still working in an office that time. And I was on my, annual vacation with few selected colleagues that, my former company paid for. So I was walking in Senado Square when this hot guy approached me. And the funny thing is, because I just broke up with, my boyfriend then, I was seriously contemplating, about my life. So I was walking there and then this guy blocked my way. So there was a language barrier and I didn't know what he wanted. So we couldn't really understand each other. So I was asking him why, but he was just flashing me his wallet to me. So I thought the guy wanted my number or something. So anyway, until I realized that it was actually a police badge. So the next thing
Oh.
I know, his company and him were pushing us to like a dark alley, which I resisted because I wasn't sure if they were really police.
Mhm.
They were like wearing civilians, and it's quite dodgy, like the way they arrested us.
Yeah.
So we couldn't understand each other as well. So I thought they might be like type of syndicate or something. So I resisted and I held on in a pose so they couldn't drag me. And I know it was crazy, but I told them that I told them I would go with them if I see someone in uniform just to make sure, that they were really policemen.
Yeah.
So, well, I got my request. They sent over 10 police in uniform
Oh my
plus 8 to
gosh.
9 police officers who were already there. So we had probably around, 20 policemen surrounding the four of us in the middle of the crowd. And then they asked us to face the wall, like in the movie. And then
Oh
I kind of like
gosh.
lost my shit. Sorry for, but I laughed so hard though while they were doing that. So the reason why is because it kind of like, reminds me of my love for travel, in adventure. So you see, when I was before that, I was always traveling like, in style because, the company paid for it. So like, 5-star hotels, transport available. So basically they, the former company arranged everything on my annual trip. So my closest local encounter with these trips were basically the drivers, so pick as, waiters, the hotel concierge. So in short, it was an adventurous, nothing exciting. And so no matter how crazy that event was, it kind of like made me realize my love for adventure again. That's how I started like contemplating about, like resigning from my job and just travel.
Christine, I love the fact that what you got out from that is adventure instead of being afraid to travel anymore. I love it, Christine. I love it.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, they would probably be like, that made me realize never to go back to this place again, and I hate to travel. Not you, though, of course.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. My friend were like, we're not gonna go there. But no, it's actually like, it's fun. Like, it kind of makes you realize that life is adventure. So,
Christine, if you think that's an adventure, I'm just wanting to see what other adventures you've gone to and other stuff you would be willing to do.
Well, I went to a head hunting tribe once.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, somewhere in Borneo. That was fun though.
Okay, we need to meet up one day and travel together because this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, we should.
So is there any question that you wish people asked you more of?
I think, how can I travel like you instead of how can you afford to travel? So I want them to ask how they can do it too, rather than, finding excuses, because a lot of people are like, oh no, I can't travel, because I have money issues, which I can understand. I mean, it's a valid reason. I wish they will ask you more on how they can do it themselves, rather like, finding excuses or reasons not to go or not to do it.
Now, what are you working on today that's really exciting to you?
Writing. I don't know. Well, writing is my first love, to be honest. So if I didn't have to pay the bill, I could have, I probably have started like writing earlier. But yeah, it's my first love. So before, before with my previous jobs, I just wanted, for the weekends to come. But this day, since I'm doing what I love, I just want weekends to end. So it's different now. It always makes me excited.
That's the best thing when you love what you do and you can't wait to get up every day to do it.
Exactly.
Now, if our listeners want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Okay. Well, you can check out my main travel site, thetravelingpinoys.com. So that spells as TheTravelling, Pinoys, Pinoys.com. And then for my Instagram, it's the same, The Traveling Pinoys. And promise, guys, no excessive selfies there on my Instagram.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine, for speaking with us today. I really appreciate all of the stories that you gave us. It was so awesome.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Christine. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get more killer resources. Hey, Offbeat family, I really appreciate you listening to this episode. I would love to hear more from you and what you think of the podcast. Suggestions on guests, topics we can discuss, or maybe you just want to be friends. Why don't we chat some more on Facebook at The OB Life, or send me a message at hello@theoffbeatlife.com. I can't wait to hear from you.